Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating mechanics of divine protection as they're detailed in chapter 13 of the Quran, Surah Ar-Ra'd. Also known as the Thunder, this chapter gives us a highly structured, almost architectural view of the unseen world, and it shows how that world profoundly interacts with our everyday lives.
So, let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question. Think about it for a second. According to this theological framework, is a human being ever truly unguarded or solitary? Whether we're walking down a busy street in broad daylight or sitting alone in the dead of night, the text suggests there's a constant, unseen presence. Today, we're going to really examine the meaning of divine protection and figure out exactly how it works.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap. We'll start with the unseen security cordon and the angels running it, then we'll look at the physical and spiritual shields they provide, the conditions for keeping that protection, what happens when it's lost, and finally, the grand cosmic context.
Starting right off with Section 1, the unseen security cordon. Let's look at the literal guardians assigned to every single individual.
This first half of verse 13:11 sets up the core concept perfectly. It tells us that there is a continuous divine security detail operating right in front of you and right behind you. Basically, everyone has guardians appointed by divine command, creating a complete 360-degree protective perimeter.
Now check out this Arabic term here, mu'aqqibat.
This is absolutely crucial because it reveals that we aren't just talking about a static guard standing watch. It's a dynamic, rotating protective force. The word literally means a group coming concurrently right behind another group. So we're looking at an active, highly organized system of protection that is constantly refreshing its ranks.
Which brings us to Section 2, the successive guardian angels. Let's break down how these shifts actually work to maintain this tight security.
According to the source traditions, like a very famous hadith in Al-Bukhari, these two groups of angels literally swap shifts around the clock. The night crew clocks out, and the daytime guards take over right at Fajr, or dawn. Then, they swap again at Asr in the late afternoon. It's a literal changing of the guard twice a day, meaning there is never ever a lapse in your coverage.
Moving on to Section 3, physical and spiritual shields. Because the big question here is what exactly is this divine secret service protecting us from?
Well, commentators like Ka'b al-Akhbar point out that without this physical cordon, human life would be virtually impossible. We're talking protection from collapsing walls, stumbling into hidden ditches, wild animal attacks, and even harm from unseen beings known as jinns. According to Sayyidina al-Mortari, it is their literal duty to step in as a physical shield in our day-to-day lives so we don't get randomly taken out by our environment.
But it doesn't stop at physical safety. As Sayyidina Uthman reported, they also act as spiritual shields. They're actively advocating for you. They urge your heart toward doing good and try to push you away from sin. And get this, if you do slip up and make a mistake, these angels actually pray for you. They purposefully delay writing down the bad deed to give you a grace period to realize what you did, repent, and fix it. They are literally rooting for you.
Okay, Section 4, the condition for protection. What happens if someone insists on walking straight into spiritual danger? Is this divine VIP protection unconditional?
This text is super clear that it is absolutely not unconditional. This brings us to a pivotal concept in the second half of that same verse. God does not change a people's state of peace and security into a state of distress until those people themselves change their inner state and their actions. Human agency is entirely at the center of this. It brilliantly illustrates this striking balance. On one side, you have passive divine protection, those unseen angels standing guard. On the other side, you have active human responsibility. The whole state of divine favor is entirely conditional on a person maintaining their own inner state of faith and gratitude. If we become ungrateful, we're the ones dismantling our own security detail.
Let's look at Section 5, when protection is withdrawn. What actually triggers the collapse of this protective perimeter?
When a society stubbornly chooses disobedience and completely abandons gratitude, the protective cordon just steps aside. The angels are dismissed from duty. And if a divine decree of hardship is enacted, no patron or protector can avert it. The text explicitly says there is absolutely no turning back a divine punishment once it's been willed.
The sources actually highlight this wild historical example with two men named Arbid and Amir. They plotted to assassinate the prophet. Amir was supposed to be the distraction, and Arbid was the one meant to strike. But when the moment came, Arbid's hand literally froze on his sword. He physically could not draw it. And later, as they fled the city, a sudden thunderbolt struck Arbid dead. It's a pure manifestation of divine decree, totally bypassing human plots. When God's decree steps in, all mortal schemes and any angelic protections are superseded.
Finally, Section 6, the cosmic context. Let's zoom way out from the individual to the macro level.
Because this concept of obedience and protection applies to the entire universe, not just humans. Look at verse 13:13. The terrifying crack of thunder is reframed here. It's not just random atmospheric noise, it's the cosmos itself willingly submitting to and glorifying its creator. The Prophet Muhammad even described thunder as the clouds speaking in a beautiful voice, and lightning as their laughter. It turns a scary storm into a profound spiritual declaration of awe.
And there's this beautiful duality to the lightning. Verse 12 points out that it's shown to us as both a fear and a hope. If you're a traveler caught out in the open elements, it's terrifying. You fear its harm. But if you're a local resident desperately waiting for water for your crops, those heavy lightning-filled clouds are the ultimate sign of hope and life. From the thunder up in the clouds down to the shadows shifting on the ground, the entire physical world reflects a spiritual reality of perfect obedience. Everything in the heavens and the earth submits to natural divine laws, willingly or unwillingly. Even our shadows, stretching to the west in the morning and to the east in the afternoon, are described in the text as literally prostrating. It's all part of this grand, protective, and perfectly obedient cosmic order.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this question. If the massive force of thunder willingly submits, are you doing your part? Are you taking responsibility for your own inner state to ensure that unseen security detail stays right by your side? The profound takeaway here is that true protection is active, not just passive. It requires our constant gratitude, faith, and awe. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep exploring.